Hello again. This video is over a month late, but I'm not going to bore you with all these excuses. Let's just say that Fadil's Pacific thing was really bloody welcome. So here we are, episode 2 of DRC. I would be saying it's sooner than expected if I'd actually uploaded it on time. But this one's a bit of a special one because it's not a cover as much as it is an arrangement. Let me tell you, my wife and I have seen Avenged Sevenfold twice. We've seen Iron Maiden 3 times. We were at the Emirates Stadium on the most beautiful summer day you could ask for when Green Day put out a blinding 2.5-hour set. There's been some really euphoric experiences, and we've had concerts from small intimate ones in university lecture halls to loads of big world-class events at the O2. So trust me when I say I know what a good concert should be like. The Tomb Raider Suite, featuring the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra and the City of London Choir, is my favourite concert that I've ever been to. I may have actually choked up at 1 or 2 points. I mean, this was my first experience of a grand orchestra, which is just a sonic experience in itself. And the music they played was always going to be deeply wrapped in nostalgia for me. But for reference, I went out 6 months later. My wife and I went out to Zurich to watch the Final Fantasy Orchestra Distant Worlds. I grew up listening to the music of Nobuo Uematsu, and from that I really got into video game music in general. But none of that had the same emotional punch in the gut. And interestingly, before watching the Tomb Raider Suite, I'd never really noticed how amazing that music is for little 40-second, 1 minute long pieces. It's actually musically interesting, it's emotionally deep. It was an experience in itself. They've got their stuff up now on Spotify. I really recommend listening to it because it actually does get across quite well how much of an experience it is. So let me start with Nathan McCree. I'm not sure why, but I'd always thought this guy is a music programmer than a composer. For a long time I figured that he'd use something like Fruity Loops or something, just drop the music in and stretch bits out and make it work that way. Sample based music, in other words. But it's only when I started thinking as a musician that I picked up on all the nuance, the harmonies, the varying moods, the colours of everything that he does in those first few Tomb Raider games. And it was only when we saw the Tomb Raider Suite that I thought to myself, no, Nathan McCree is probably one of the greatest composers in video game history, certainly of the PlayStation 1 era. Now, I don't actually know what medium he did use in the end. I figure from looking at interviews that he's done that he's probably used some high quality synthesizers. Honestly, I don't care. Since that concert, I've listened to this music objectively as much as I can, try and separate it from the games, and there's no denying that it's both really interesting and emotionally powerful. So let's get on to the piece that we're discussing today. It's called Time to Run. No, you'll find it around other places with different names, but that's the official name according to the Tomb Raider Suite, which had Nathan McCree's involvement from beginning to end. Generally speaking, the music in Tomb Raider has a more functional approach than other video game music. So it's not so much just a background layer, but rather a cue to say, oh, you've discovered something, or you're in danger. Often it's both, and it's hilarious to watch my daughter freaking out as soon as that gentle G kicks in. But Time to Run, as the name suggests, is a piece of music that plays when shit's hit the fan. A side note, in the Tomb Raider Suite they actually broke the concert into sections relating to the 3 games. And at the end of each section they would play one piece of music, normally the most exciting piece they had, to a video of gameplay essentially. This was an impactful boost to the music, but in the case of Time to Run, I also found it to be slightly distracting. Now, musically, Time to Run begins with this pizzicato that jumps between the C minor scale and the chromatic run. This chromatic run is a motif, and motif is kind of like the buzzword here because Nathan McCree didn't have a lot of time to work on the music for Tomb Raider. I think it was actually originally meant to be throughout the whole level, but instead he created these short pieces. So as part of working quickly, he seemed to come up with these motifs that he could sort of dip in and out of. I'll get onto that in a bit because this one piece of music has like at least 3 of them that are quite recurring, but they also show up in other pieces of music throughout the game. So yeah, it starts with this pizzicato string, and then it's supported by what seems to be 2 violins, a cello, a French horn, and some cymbals. It's kind of like a chamber orchestra or a string quartet that's been supplemented. Anyway, this ensemble progresses very quickly through about 5 or 6 sections over about 2 minutes 10 seconds. So the motifs I mentioned earlier. So first you've got this chromatic run that's like a that comes up just dotted throughout everything and just sort of ends each section quite nicely. You've got this French horn that just plays a single note rhythmically, and that's like do 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 do. It will just play that, pretty much coating throughout the entire thing, but especially useful for bridging together 2 loud bits with a quiet bit in between. It's just a nice little touch, that French horn. It's not something I ever really paid attention to until this, you'll see why. And then there's this outbursty bass line, that's do 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 do, which runs throughout the whole soundtrack to Tomb Raider. Actually, I think it's kind of a calling card from Nathan McCree and in the way he's used it, and even where it's not been used in just a even kind of way as that. It's like do 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 do, which comes into this. And he doesn't just use it as a bass line, but he also takes that and uses it in the lead lines, in the melodies. And he uses this, as I say, throughout all 3 games, but especially in the first one. This piece of music is fast-paced. It's a trip. It really is. It's quite an exciting trip, and that's why they used it as the culminating piece for the section 1 of the Tomb Raider suite, and it's responsible for what I see as at least 1, maybe 2 of the great defining moments in video game history. With all this in mind, I'm going to rate it a 9 out of 10. And the only reason it doesn't get a 10 out of 10 is because it doesn't have the emotional impact that I normally look for. And there's actually in other pieces in Tomb Raider 1. But yeah, for me, for something to be a 10 out of 10, it's got to be emotionally much more emotive, much more moving than this, but at the same time I can't deny it, it's an excellent piece of music. Now, as you may deduce from when I introduced this series, or just, you know, having a look at other instruments I don't have violins or violas or cellos, French horns or cymbals for that matter. What I do have is a guitar. So I've done something I've never attempted before, and I've gone through this entire piece and written it all out, transcribed it into tab for guitar, and created an arrangement for guitar. Well, 2 guitars actually. Because of the jumping melodies, the general speed, this piece really lends itself well to metal guitar playing. Now, as a music writing exercise, I've intentionally given myself 2 restrictions. 1, I can only use what can be played, or what I can play at least, on 2 guitars. And 2, I must showcase as much of the original music as possible as part of that. What this means is that there are moments where I've made a decision to have quite a lot going on in the treble, and it hasn't got that low end, not a lot of metal songs have. But if I had a full band or something to put this to, I could really do something special with this. Anyway, I really enjoyed recording this. It's taken me a while to get out. Enjoy.